To Oak Park Board of Education meeting to order. Ms. Greer, would you please call the roll?
Cochran, Alvin,
Here.
Goodfriend, Oda,
Here.
Klein,
Here.
Lunkins, here, Smith.
Here.
Okay, so it appears we do in fact have a quorum. Okay, so really quickly, we have a special event today. Our trustee Claudette Lunkins is celebrating her 70th birthday, so happy birthday to Claudette. Claudette, any words, Claudette?
I don't know if I can be 70 again, but I like the way it is now.
Well, happy birthday to you. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Our website is down right now. It's being worked on. There's no ETA for when the problem will be fixed, but just want to make that note. And moving to the next item, which is regular board meeting structure updates. We have a few updates on how we will handle these board meetings moving forward. To drive meeting efficiency, we're going to make a couple of updates to meeting agendas. We will continue to begin board meetings with a recitation of the district's mission and vision. As a reminder, while we're all here, both are featured at the top of the agenda for easy reference for our board members. To drive meeting efficiency, we will not, however, continue the recitation of belief statements. In addition, the public will be provided with an opportunity to comment at each meeting under public comments. Members of the public who wish to provide comment must fill out a public comment card and may bring the card to the stage and hand it to Trustee Albert Smith at the beginning of the meeting or at any point before we arrive to the public comment part of the agenda. The board and administration will have an opportunity to provide any communications later in the meeting under board and administration communications. So with that, we will go to the recitation of the district mission and vision. There's a question?
Yeah, if members of the audience would like to use those public comment cards, where can they find them?
Public comment cards can be found in the basket to my right. It's sitting right on the end there of the that brick wall. So if they want to make a comment, the comment cards are in there. Please fill it out and then bring it up to Mr. Smith for us to use during public comment time. Any other questions on that?
Thank you.
No problem. So with that, we will go to the recitation of the district mission and vision. Trustee Hoyda, would you like to do the mission?
Our inclusive learning community provides the best academic and social experiences by educating the whole child, one child at a time.
Thank you. And then Trustee Klein, would you like to do the vision?
Our vision is cultivating visionary leaders and compassionate citizens to be engaged in the global community.
Thank you so much. Moving forward to approval of the agenda and the order of business. The agenda was shared with the board prior to today's meeting. If there are no objections, we will pass and approve the agenda by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, we will pass by unanimous consent, and we will go now to the consent agenda, where we have 3 items: the approval of minutes, the approval of personnel actions, and the personnel action addendum. So we have 3 items on the consent calendar this evening. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar, the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
The motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Alvin,
Yes.
Oda,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
The motion passes. We will go to reports. We have 1 report this evening, and Dr. Hitchcock, you are up.
Thank you, President Elvin and members of the board. I want to start out by just sharing a special thank you to Chartwells, which is our food service provider, for their food spread this evening in honor of Board Recognition Month. We had Chef Jessica and Director Wineclaw here supporting us with this spread of food, and they wanted to definitely send the message that they are very appreciative of your support and dedication to the students and staff of the Oak Park School District.
Thank you.
Additionally, I would like to share that last Tuesday, our K-9 team started. Our dog's name is Biggie, and his handler is Brandy Gutierrez, and they will alternate between both Oak Park High School and OPA. And when Biggie is not actively working or at lunch, he is available for students to play with him as a reward for a little puppy therapy, which makes him a dual safety and somewhat of a social emotional support dog as well. Our partnership with Elite K9 Detection is one of 2 programs in the state and is considered cutting edge in a way to provide additional safety to students and staff. In partnership with Elite K9 Detection, they also have a host of puppies that they like to frequently bring out so students and staff can play with them, and it's part of their training process. So we're certainly looking forward to having the puppies here as well and being partners in the training process. Additionally, last Friday, we had the security education consultants here conducting a site assessment for safety at Oak Park High School, Nova, and OPA. Mr. Russell, the founder and president of Security Education Consultants, was assigned to our district to conduct the assessment. He will draft a report of his findings and recommendations to share with our administrative team, and we're planning to have him provide a community opportunity and update on school safety on February 28th at 6:15 p.m. prior to the February 28th board meeting. And he will provide a report specifically to board members, not to share too much in an open forum, but he will be available to share some preliminary findings and just some broad comments and answer questions on school safety as it relates to his report. As previously mentioned, Security Education Consultants is a highly sought after security company with references that include the ACLU, Saline Schools, Novi Community Schools, Warren Woods Public Schools, West Bloomfield Schools, and many other schools in this area as well as nationally. We look forward to finding additional information on how we can improve our safety for students and staff. Also on Friday, our district and building administrators and leaders continued our culturally responsive leadership professional learning with Dr. Jay Marks, school equity consultant from Oakland Schools. This session is part of a 6-part series that we've been participating in that is consistent with our strategic plan belief statements. And those 2 belief statements that align with our professional development work with Dr. Marks are create a safe, physical, emotional, and culturally competent environment for learning for the whole child, use equitable anti-racist instruction, and instill a growth mindset to help students reach their highest potential. We're very proud that our strategic plan belief statements and mission and vision were part of a broader retreat that included all stakeholders in our community, students, staff, community members, board members, and all of us. So we are very pleased that we are making this commitment to being culturally responsive in our schools, and we're consistently striving towards cultural proficiency. And then finally, from our teaching and learning department, last summer, the summer of 2021, students in grades 6 through 11 joined students and teachers from throughout the Oakland County area to explore the question, how can we amplify our voices to create a more just community? And on February 2nd, from 7 to 8:30 p.m., people are welcome to attend to hear the answer to that question from many students around the county, but specifically from students in the Oak Park School District. And if you would like to register when our website comes back up, you can do so at www.oakparkschools.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hitchcock. Any questions on the board for Dr. Hitchcock? None? Okay. We've come to the part of the meeting where the public has an opportunity to address the board if it so desires. Public participation is one-way communication in which members of the public are asked to address the full board with the understanding that board members will not be able to respond. Trustee Albert Smith, would you please provide the public comment guidelines?
Right.
Thank you.
Because the Oak Park Board of Education values public meetings, not just meetings in public, we welcome public comment on school issues. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due process for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by public comments. The public comment portion of the meeting cannot be used to make personal attacks against a school board member or school district employee that disrupts the order of the meeting and is totally unrelated to the manner in which the member or employee performs his or her duties. Speakers should be aware that if statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, such comments may result in legal liability. Most comments can be concisely stated in 3 minutes, and the board respectfully asks the comments remain focused on the topic or issue and not be directed at specific personnel or board members. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. I believe we've received one request to comment from William Boyer. So, Mr. Boyer, if you would come to the microphone, please.
Thank you, Board. William Boyer, OPEA President. And I just want to address the topic of transparency tonight. It's a word and a concept that's declared and honored on the district website. About 2 weeks ago, the OPEA felt compelled to file a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request, regarding sealed contents that were announced at this board, this body, at previous board meetings regarding the evaluation of the superintendent. And we just wanted any and all information that may or may not have been involved in the 4-year extension and the unanimous approval of the board. In the interest of transparency and the Open Meetings Act. Central Administration has asked for a 2-week extension, which they have every legal right to do so. We still have not received any documents at all. We hope so soon. I just received an email saying that all meetings with myself and other representatives have been suspended. Those were called Union Pulse meetings, and apparently, unless we receive a future directive to have a meeting, it seems like it's no longer in the interest of Central Administration to have these meetings, which seems also to be violating the topic of transparency. I'm hoping in the spirit of democracy and dialogue that even when we disagree, it's better that we meet and we discuss our disagreements. I'll close by quoting Martin Luther King. There are many quotes we can circulate and refer to, but I think in this moment, when he said, "Do not confuse dissent with disloyalty," he could be referring to educators who, even if they have differences, want to work together to make this the school district we know it can be. So I ask, I know you don't have to respond, but I ask the board to reconsider and start encouraging a more open dialogue with the union, with the teachers, that's a two-way street, because it seems now that an uncritical and uninformed staff, except when directed, is the goal of this board and this central administration, unless we're getting the wrong message about the suspension of meeting together as a union and as respected administrators of this district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyer. I don't have any other cards. Were there any other members of the public that wish to comment?
That was it, just the one.
Oh, there was just one. Okay, just making sure that no one had any more to turn in. Okay, thank you. All right, we have one action item this evening. Bid package number 1, HVAC upgrades, elementary schools.
2, Mr. President.
And
2 action items.
did I miss one?
6A, 6B.
Oh, seal of bioliteracy. Okay, I did miss that. Okay, we have 2 action items. So I would ask that Steve Barnett be available to answer any questions of the board or speak to this item, bid package number 1.
Good evening, board members. I'm here if you have any questions. And Krista's here also from Rockford Construction.
There any, did you want to speak to any of that? I mean, I know you spoke to it last week. Did you want to make any comments? If not, we can ask if there are any questions from the board based on what we received.
Based on what we said last week, you know, just this is all the trades to, you remember back in December on the 27th, we asked you to approve the package for the equipment, and this is the package to put all that equipment in. So there's 7 different trades on there. That was in your board package, and we're asking for you to approve that tonight.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Burnett? Or anyone else? Any questions on that?
I just want to clarify for the public that we did ask questions. We've already gone through this process last week, and this is just kind of an additional question session. That might be why we don't have questions now.
Correct, there were questions last week, but I just wanted to make sure there weren't any more this week. Okay. Hearing with no questions, Trustee Lunkins, are you able to read the action?
It depends on what action we're talking about.
You haven't, if you don't have it in front of you, we can.
Maybe I might have it.
Okay.
Construction. Yeah, I don't have the new agenda on here. I can't get to it, rather.
Okay, no worries. Trustee Smith, would you read the action, please?
Yes. So the 6A construction bid package number 1, HVAC upgrades, elementary schools. Construction bid package number 1, high voltage AC upgrades. Elementary schools resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education approve the recommendation of the project team to approve to enter into a subcontract agreement with the following subcontractors for the noted projects. Bid package number 01, awards recommendation. Dickerson Mechanical, $1,960,000. Sawyer Services Electrical, $1,619,470. B&E Masonry, $172,033. Nelson Ironworks, Structural Steel, $68,041. KM Construction LLC, General Trades, $249,999. Hewitt Company Glazing, $60,300. Seven Brothers Painting, $23,210. 15% contingency, $622,958. Total award recommendation, $4,776,011. $11. Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
And I just want to clarify, the motion includes for B&E Masonry at $172,033, not 33 cents.
Oh, my apologies. I'm sorry.
Correct.
Just clarifying.
Okay.
Thank you. I stand corrected.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there, I saw that too. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Oda,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
and Lunkins.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. We have one other action item this evening, seal of biliteracy. Trustee Hoyter, would you please read that motion?
Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education accepts the seal of biliteracy programming and committee as presented at the January 18th, 2022 board meeting.
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any questions on this? I know we had the presentation last week and there were a few questions. Trustee Hoyter.
I just want to say this really fits in well with our strategic plan, particularly goal number 1 of creating and implementing systems that provide a culturally competent, safe, supportive, and collaborative learning environment for all students and staff. That we will reflect that cultural competency in our high school programming and graduation, and I'm very proud that we're moving this now.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. We have 2 information items this evening. The first one is bid package number 2, high school D-wing HVAC equipment only. Mr. Barnett, would you come to speak to this item, please?
Hello again. So what we're asking tonight is kind of similar to what we asked for on December 27th, and this is to buy the equipment through a consortium in the amount, this is for D-wing here at the high school, in the amount of $495,000 and even. So that would be for the equipment that's going to, and Krista, do you want to elaborate a little bit more on the equipment?
So it's rooftop unit replacements, just for that unit. So again, this was to purchase them with hopes of securing them in time to have them meet our summer or late summer schedule.
And this is basically rooftop units and that will provide air conditioning. Currently, the D-wing uses window air conditioners as air conditioning. So this will replace all that. And so that's kind of everything around this auditorium. So this D-wing is around the auditorium and down the hallway. So we're asking tonight just for you to approve, what we're asking for in 2 weeks is the approval of purchasing the equipment through the consortium, similar to what we did December 27th.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Burnett? Hearing none, I would ask one question. Is this the only area of the D-wing, is that the only area that does not have air conditioning, or are there others as well?
They're sporadic, but most of the rest of this facility has some form of air conditioning that's not window air conditioning. It's D-wing is the only one, and that's kind of why we chose it, because it's an upgrade to the D-wing, and it'll get those window air conditioners out of the window, and those are larger spaces like art rooms, drama room. So we felt that this was a good place because there's so much work that has to be done here. With the elementary work, we feel this is what we could get done this year.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Klein.
Can you remind me, what we have here is a recommendation to award a bid. You have to pardon me, my memory is blipping. If we saw a bid process with multiple different bids and a presentation on why this is the chosen bid and recommended bid?
So similar to the one on December 27th, instead of going through a bid process, which would labor it, we went through a consortium that bids through the consortium. So they put out an RFP for these pieces of equipment through Thermonetics, through Daikin, and then they do the work for us. So instead of us putting out an RFP, they do that, and then they bring the best prices back, and then we buy from the consortium. Omnia Partners is the consortium that we'll be buying through.
When we do a bidding process and it's brought back to us with multiple bids, we're able to evaluate why this bid was chosen, and that's kind of lacking when we outsource the bidding process, is it not?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we were buying it this way so we can get it before September.
Understood.
If we go through the whole bid process, then we have to interview the team, and we may end up paying more because a consortium guarantees on a larger scale, so that Omnia Partners is nationwide. So when Thermonetics goes in to buy Daikin equipment, they're buying it at Daikin's best price, in my opinion.
Is the contract through which the bid would be awarded directly through the district then, or does it also get flushed through this consortium?
You can. Krista's a little bit more versed in this.
The contract
fine.
itself will be between, the district will end up issuing a purchase order for Thermalnetics. The pricing exercise itself, and they have to go through Omnia, which is a nationwide pricing, I guess it's
I'll tell you what,
institutions, and you can buy a wide variety of products. But for this one, in this case, yes, the district will hold the purchase order for Thermalnetics.
Directly with the company that's providing the work?
Correct.
Okay, my concern is just having a contract with one entity and the other entity is doing the work, and then you get issues potentially with who's responsible. So it's good to know that the district is working directly, or rather,
District
has
will
contractual
hold all
rights.
the contracts, yes, for the projects.
Okay. Thank you.
So just to finish on that comment, Thermalnetics is going through the consortium, but we'll deal directly with Thermalnetics. The same way we will for the elementaries, we're dealing directly with Thermalnetics for the equipment. But they went into the consortium to purchase the equipment, but we will deal with them direct.
Terrific, thank you.
Trustee Hoyt?
I just want to bring the board's attention to policy 5003 on purchasing, which states the board authorizes the superintendent to purchase and/or supervise the purchase of all materials, equipment, supplies, and services necessary for the operation of the school district. It is the intent of the board that the school district purchase competitively without prejudice or favoritism and seek maximum value for all expenditures. Competitive pricing is to be pursued, and I think this is the key sentence. Competitive pricing is to be pursued by following legally required processes, as well as through such methods as cooperative purchasing, formal or informal bidding, requests for quotations from multiple vendors, and negotiations. So our policy does recognize that at times the more expedient way of reaching a competitive price, sometimes that is through formal bidding processes, and sometimes it's through cooperative purchasing. And as we've set out in our policy, we authorize the superintendent to make a determination about what will get us the best price that will best meet our needs, and then to bring it to the board for approval, which is the motion we have in front of us today.
Thank you, Trustee Hoyt. Are there any other questions or comments relative to this item? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much.
And I'll just note that I don't know the policy by heart, but I did look it up on our website, and apparently our website is back up for those who are.
I would hope you didn't commit that one to memory.
Thank you, Stephen
That particular
Christo.
one that we've quoted a lot.
Okay, move to the next item. PA system at the Lessenger Early Childhood Center. Jim Nye is coming to speak on this item.
I'm going to adjust this a little bit. All right, hey, everybody. So I just wanted to apologize. Normally, Steve Melchor would be here. He's out sick today, so I'm going to be doing this really quickly in his place. Long story short, what we're asking to do is replace the PA system at Lessenger Early Childhood. During the demo, there was a previous system that was really old. It was removed, everything was removed, and we're putting in an entirely new system. The new system is going to take the place of the bell system, the clocks. It'll provide emergency messaging, and it's kind of an all-in-one PA system. The one that we are asking to purchase is by the Roland Company. We did look at a couple others, including a product called Informacast. It was similar in pricing, very similar in functionality, but we currently have a Roland system that just went in at OPA a couple months ago, and we figure it's better to keep all the systems going forward the same model. We can also reutilize the servers that the current system is using, so that saves us some money, so we don't have to purchase additional ones. With that, the new system is going to, for Lessenger specific, is going to be approximately 25 regular wired speakers that'll be in the ceilings, and then there'll be 25 IP-based communication speakers that'll be placed throughout the classrooms and in individual rooms. They'll have a speaker, and underneath the speaker, there's going to be a digital display that'll act as a digital clock. In the event of an emergency or anything where they need to have communications into the room, that display will then show the emergency or whatever it is. In addition to that, there's going to have, I can't think of the correct name for it, but it's like a trouble light that in the event of a true emergency situation, at the end of each hall, there'll be a light. It'll be like a green or a red. When all the teachers check into that area and it's deemed safe, it'll be green. So if there's an emergency response and you have a 911 event, police are coming into a building, they can quickly look down hallways, see where the lights are, and where the red light is, that they know that's the way to go. When we looked at this seemed one of the best options that we could find for this process and this product. We were originally going to do panic buttons, but we're not at this point because we already have that provided by the alarm system, so it didn't make sense to do doubles. So our alarm system will have panic buttons. This system will have the green and red light system. The total cost is $70,950, and the pricing is coming from a bid program called PEPPM, which is PEPM. They did a bid for a whole bunch of products, and we just used this particular product off their bid. This bid expires, I want to say, July of this year, so the pricing is good till then. And the vendor is Roland Soundcom.
Yes, Trustee Smith.
Yeah, Mr. Knight, you did mention that we do have these in the other buildings as well to maintain consistency?
Yep, right now it's only at OPA. As we start moving forward with bond funds, we're going to look to replace them and upgrade them in all the buildings. And all the buildings will eventually, if this is approved, go to this model, this source, and then this will be across the district, one unit instead of different models in different buildings.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Thank you very much. Appreciate
All
it.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, board committees and appointments. So items 9A through C are the establishment of committees of the board, all of which we had in 2021, two of which did not meet in 2021, and one that met occasionally. So the question is whether the board would like to continue to operate with these committees or to operate as a committee of the whole. We can have that discussion now. Trustee Klein.
Given the meeting schedules noted from last year, I think it makes sense to move beyond it and just have a committee as a whole.
Support.
Okay, so, okay, Trustee Hoyda.
I didn't make a motion, but.
Excuse me.
So I think the one committee that I do think is really critical is the policy committee. We have identified a need to really do a deep dive on our policies, rewrite some policies, write new policies. We went from having a very large, detailed policy book to a much smaller one, and I think we're finding that somewhere in between is where we need to be. That work is intensive, and I think could best be done through a committee process. So I do want to put that for consideration.
Trustee Smith.
So I'm curious as to how did that work? If you can just kind of expound on the actual atmosphere that, the participation level and,
So I can speak. So I've been on the policy committee since I started on the board. That was my first assignment on the board when I joined as a new board member 12 years ago, was as chair of the policy committee. And Trustee Lunkin served on the policy committee together with me for a long time. And again, at that time we had a much bigger book, and it was updated twice a year. So twice a year we would meet with the folks from Neola, which was the company that was doing our policy. They would bring us all their recommended updates. There was usually a stack about yay thick of recommended updates. They would go through it, let us know why they felt we needed these updates, and we would go through it like that. The other thing that we would do in the policy committee was review the policy section by section as a group to see hey, is there anything here that, this policy's been here since 1963. Do we want to update that? Is there anything we want to change? Do we still need this? How, we would sit with the administration and say, how is this being implemented in the district? So that was under the previous book. When we created the new policy, we had to start from scratch. So then we sat down with our attorneys and went through, and they provided a new policy handbook recommendation, and we sat and went through it. I believe that was myself, Trustee Lumpkins, and Trustee Corcoran, if I remember correctly. And we went through section by section and said, here's, they said, we think you should get rid of this. And we said, we feel like we need that. And they said, we think you should adopt that. And we said, we don't feel like that's a good idea. Or they would say, how would you like this worded? What do you want this to say? So that was the process we followed previously. I think there's work to be done to bring us back to some middle ground where we need to be so that our policies are properly reflecting our vision as a district.
So Mr. Hoyt, what I was looking for was basically, how is attendance? Are we having, are we running any constraints with attendance, when it comes time to meet for these meetings? Because what I'm looking at here is if it's working already, then why change it? If that's working, if policy is working with whoever we have on the committee already, and nobody else is wanting to join that committee right now, then I don't see why we should change that.
We normally change the committee every year.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying.
To give everybody the opportunity to be on that committee.
Right, so whoever's on the committee now, maintain on that committee, that's what I'm kind of getting at. If it's working, we got a good team that's working
It
on
would
this.
be the committee from last year.
Excuse me?
It would be the committee from last year voting on it.
Okay, well, whoever it is, if it's working, then,
So as Trustee Eldon pointed out, this last year we did not meet as much as we needed to.
Okay.
But I think
All right.
these last couple of years have been taxing
Right.
on us as board members. So, and on the administration, teachers, everybody's been working, in crisis mode.
Right.
And so there's important work that we need to get back to, and I'm hoping that we get back to that.
Are there any other thoughts on the committees that were up for discussion? Trustee
I
Lunkins.
think Mr. Smith was asking whether we should change it or leave it.
Yeah, that's what I basically was getting at. Whoever's on the committee now, we might as well just, I was looking to say if there was any issues, like in attendance or, that it seemed like one board member was doing all the work, then maybe we may need to circumvent that and say, hey, let's get some new members on our committee.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then look at just keeping it the same as is, following through.
I don't recall it ever being a problem.
But there's other board members that's not here, so I know Dawn was on this committee as well. But I'm
So I
not sure.
think, so the question we're discussing now, I think, is not about who should be on the committee, but whether, do we want to operate as a committee of the whole, or do we want to have individual committees? Is that my...
Yeah, and more to the point, I think we're really talking about one specific committee, which is the policy. I didn't hear any thoughts on the others, so.
Yeah.
Do we want to have a policy committee of the board? And to be honest with you, we can certainly establish that committee if that's the will of the board, and if there are others that need to come about as we move around, move through the year, we can do that then. But if there's a need to have a policy committee, we certainly can establish that committee tonight, if that is the will of the board.
Well, if that's the case, and we didn't really move too much this year on policy, I would say I'd like to make a motion and say that I'd like to make a motion that all committees be handled as committee as a whole, and we can address when the time comes. But right now, as a committee as a whole, instead of breaking out every committee, each section, each individual committee right now.
So your motion is that the board operate as a committee of the whole?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? The motion fails because it does not have a second.
I'd like to offer an alternate motion, if that's all right.
Well, yeah, look,
I can't hear you, but I know you want to offer something.
Sure, I'd like to, let's start with what I think we can all agree on. I'd like to move that in items 8B and 8C should be convert those committees, the culture committee and the community engagement committee should be changed over to be committee as a whole of the whole board, at least those two.
support.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor that the culture committee and the community engagement committee be moved to a committee of the whole.
Right.
Is that,
Yes.
thank
Right.
you.
Okay.
There was a second?
I seconded, yes.
Okay, trustee Smith seconded.
Okay, that's
Are there any questions on that motion or unreadiness on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Hoda,
No.
Elvin,
Yes,
and Lumpkins.
No,
okay. The motion fails at 3-2.
So I'm sorry here. So what is it that you want to do? You're not making any suggestions here.
So, I think
Tape.
my view is that we do have a strategic plan, that we have 5 goal areas in the strategic plan. Those are important goal areas. I agree that this past year, we have not been successful in those committees of meeting. I don't think that's a reason to no longer focus on those things. I have concerns about us moving away from our focus that our strategic plan brings. These items, culture is number 1 in our strategic goal areas. Community engagement is number 5. I think that there's a value and a benefit to the board having committees that do that kind of more detailed work outside of the board meeting process. The committee of a whole process requires a different level of engagement than we can do as a committee process, and I value the committee process and would like to see us move forward with that.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, trustee Lunkins.
I just think that the other members that are not here should have an opportunity to decide on whether they want to be on those committees or not. Because remember, the committees is divided among all 7 of us.
Yeah, trustee Lunkers. So we've tabled this already. This is drawing out. So we haven't had enough of the rest of the trustees here so that we can move forward, with this. So we tabled this from last week so that we can discuss it this week. But now we're still like we're stalemate.
We table it till next week and hopefully they'll be here. If not, then we move forward.
Trustee Hoyter.
So I respectfully disagree with Trustee Lunkins about tabling discussion. I think, we can't table the progress of the movement on the board. These are important things, and there's the old quote, decisions are made by those who show up. And I know for all of us, especially tonight, it hasn't been easy coming, and I know that everybody has to make their own decision and their own calculus about whether they're able to make it here. But I don't think we can hold back the progress of our meetings for the sake of those who are choosing not to come to meetings. What I wanted to ask Mr. President, just to clarify, do we need a motion to establish committees? Or if there's no action, do those committees that were created last year cease to exist.
To my knowledge, those that were established a year ago still exist today until they are removed. And so that would be at least my interpretation. So the more or less the question, which is, you know, what Trustee Klein said, to move those two to a committee of the whole made sense. And that would be, you know, if there's unless we want to, wait on this at this point, because we've already had one motion that did not pass, and we had one motion and didn't get a second, and it doesn't seem as if the five of us are going to arrive at a decision right now. So they can, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we can keep them intact until we have, until we know that more members are coming, at least one other member is here, where we can make a determination on whether we want to move forward with them. As of right now, they do exist. And so I know that there's kind of, it seems like 50-50 almost to abolish some of them, at least two of them. And so we would need to hear from others if they're here. But until that happens, I guess they're going to remain intact and be functional. And as such, it's my responsibility to staff them. So I'll work on that for the time being until we have others, at least one other one here. And if we need to, do a poll to see who's coming, and we'll try to get it back on the agenda for the next time.
So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I was asking, that we just leave it as is.
But as is means not operating as a committee of the whole. So as is we still have the committees unless we decide that those aren't committees that we want anymore. So right now, we are operating with those committees, and it's my responsibility to add people to those committees, but at the same time, I do understand that there's some thinking about taking some of those and changing them into a committee of the whole. And if we can get at least another board member here to kind of weigh in on that, and that would help us make a decision, I believe. So what we can do is we can bring it back, and we'll go one committee at a time to determine if that's what we want to continue that on.
So are we tabling this?
It's not a motion to table it unless you want to make a motion to table
I'd like
it.
to make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to table items,
8A through C.
thank you, 8A through C, the establishment of committees of the board until the board's next meeting. A motion has been made and seconded. Are there any questions or any unreadiness on that motion?
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought it was B and C.
It's A through C. There were three committees.
This motion is to table it, Claudette.
Okay, you're gonna table the whole thing.
The
Table
table item.
until the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions on this motion? Hearing none, Ms. Gray, please call the roll.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes,
Hoda,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
and Smith.
Yes.
thank you. Well, so we will table that to the next meeting, so we'll add that to the agenda for the next meeting. 8D, appointments, Oakland Schools Budget Committee. In 2021, the board voted to appoint Trustee Corcoran to the Budget Committee, to the Oakland Schools Budget Committee. We would need someone to serve on that committee. Trustee Hoyt, do you know what the time commitment is on that?
It is attending one meeting at Oakland Schools in June for about an hour.
One meeting in June for about an hour. Is there anyone who would like to serve on that?
I'd like to actually table this as well, especially because Trustee Corcoran is not here.
Support.
And I'd like to try at least, give it one more go. I know she wasn't here last time either, but hopefully she'll be here next time.
I assume there's no time element to us getting someone to.
Well, we have to get it done before June. We only have 6 months.
I mean, a more immediate time element.
As far as I know.
Okay, all right. Okay, is that a motion to table?
Yes, sir.
A motion been made and seconded to table item 8DA, Oakland Schools Budget Committee appointment. Is there any unreadness or any questions on the motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Smith,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
and Monken.
Yes.
Okay. Going to item 8DB, Oakland County School Board Association Government Relations Committee. In 2021, the board voted to appoint me to serve on the Government Relations Committee. I'm hoping we get someone else who would like to do that this year. Probably someone who's sitting very close to me on my left.
I am willing to accept that. No.
So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint trustee, Vice President Hoyter to the Oakland County School Board Association Government Relations Committee.
A motion has been made and seconded, and it was seconded by trustee Lunkins. I want to make sure we put that in the record. She was very adamant. Are there any questions on that motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Hoda,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
Lunkins,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and Klein.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Congratulations. You've been going anyway.
I do want to add that the Government Relations Committee of the Oakland County School Board Association meets, I believe, the first Wednesday night of every month, and any board member that wishes to attend is welcome to do so. Right now, the meetings are virtual, so that makes it more convenient, and those who are able to attend, encourage, that's a meeting where we meet with the lobbyists from Oakland schools, and also discuss with other districts in the county matters relating to government relations.
Thank you. I do intend to continue attending as many as I can, but it's just nice to know that we have you there as our as our person. So.
And I will also add that right now, many of our colleagues are in Washington, D.C. attending the National School Board Association's advocacy conference, where they meet on national school board advocacy issues and then meet with, I believe this year the meetings with Congress people are virtual. And those I want to say are tomorrow morning. So that is another aspect of government relations.
Thank you, Mr. Hoyter.
Thank you, Trustee Hoyter. Much
Again,
appreciated.
any board members are welcome to participate in that way as well.
Well, thank you for serving. We appreciate it. Up to board and administration communications. Are there any communications from members of the administration?
No, thank you.
Okay. Are there any communications from members of the board? Trustee Hoyter.
I attended the Oakland County School Board Association dinner meeting last Wednesday night. I missed a portion of it because our agenda planning meeting went a little bit over time, but I did make it for Dr. Green's presentation, Dr. Green, Dr. Rod Green, who we know well, has facilitated our evaluations, presented on the state of the superintendency. It was a really important and interesting presentation. I know the superintendent has provided all of us board members with a copy of the presentation. He spoke about the crisis that exists nationwide, where superintendents are leaving their jobs, and we are having a hard time finding replacements. He pointed out that when he became a superintendent, that was something that many people looked forward to, and he doesn't hear that enthusiasm as much as he once did. But he spoke about the number one reason why superintendents leave is because of the relationship with the board. And so he spoke about the critical importance of a positive superintendent-board relationship and how to work together, as Mr. Boyer pointed out earlier, that dissent is not disloyalty, with a quote that I believe is actually from Edward R. Murrow. dissent is not disloyalty, that there are ways to disagree in productive ways and to work together as a team of 8, and that is what is the number one factor in the success of any superintendency. And so it was a really important thing, and it was nice seeing board members from all around Oakland County and superintendents. Even the food was pretty good. And I know their next dinner meeting is going to be, I believe, in a couple of months, so look out for information on that. And the presenter at that one is going to be another person we know well, which is Scott Morrell, who has also facilitated some stuff for us in the past.
Thank you, Trustee Hoyter. I know that Dr. Hitchcock also sent us that deck, so I don't know, I think it was in the, was it Friday update? It was in the Friday update. So in case any of you haven't had a chance to see the presentation that Trustee Hoyter just mentioned, it is in the Friday update from last week, and it is worthwhile reading. I actually went through the whole deck. And actually called Rod Green afterwards to have a conversation with him about some of what was in there. So take a look at it if you get a chance, if you haven't had a chance to read it yet. Are there any other communications from members of the board? None. We have one from the administration, so.
Thank you, President Elvin. I do have some communication that went out today to all of the district staff, kind of targeting 3 areas. There is some new COVID updates, and in those updates, you will also find a loom that I'll send to you Friday in the Friday update. The loom is with Nurse Long, One Take Long, who shot that loom this afternoon so that I could get it out to all of the staff, updating some of the changes for quarantine and isolation guidelines. The second thing that I wanted to communicate is a letter of agreement went in place on the 19th, and it's retroactive to January 3rd. That was done in collaboration with the OPEA to make sure that we are fairly compensating staff who agree to combine classes in the event that we are short-staffed. There are some other benefits where we have increased their pay if they are working on their planning periods or taking classes on their planning periods. And it's important to note that we're going to work with the OPESPA to come to a letter agreement with the same. The third thing, and I'll make sure this is in our Friday update as well, the third thing I wanted to communicate is we're restructuring our union pulse checks. I know that that is a common topic here, and we talk about it often of getting together. This restructuring is going to be at a more intense, a smaller opportunity to meet with the presidents of the specific unions on an as-needed basis, and likely more frequent as things come up. We'll work with cabinet members so that they are attending those topics that are specific to their roles and responsibilities. Occasionally, we may need to come together to provide critical or timely information, but we feel this is going to be a much more productive and better use of everyone's time and effort. It'll allow us to do what's in the best interest of OPS students, and our lines of communication will remain wide open, and our spirit of collaboration will be unwavering. Thank you for letting me share this, and I'll make sure it's in the Friday update as well.
Thank you, Ms. Divio. Any other communications from the board? I just want to note that I know it's been said before, but January School Board Recognition Month, and want to thank all my colleagues for being willing to serve and stand up for the community and be here as a voice for those that we serve. So thank you.
Thank you, likewise.
For that.
Thank you.
Are there any addenda from members of the administration or the board? Hearing none, the next meeting, Trustee Smith, is when?
The next meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, February 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Oak Park High School auditorium.
Thank you. If nothing else, without objection, we will pass a motion to adjourn the meeting by unanimous consent. Is there an objection? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned, 8:02.